As I mentioned, we have to make sure you all understand the disclaimer by the CFTC and the futures trading. And it helps you to understand that futures trading is risky. It's very important to me to tell people this too, and that you just have to realize that these markets can do whatever they want. And although Boomerang will organize the data very carefully and show you exactly where to make trades, and we guarantee 90% winning trade signals coming out of the software following the exact rules that I'm going to go over today, still, you just need to be really aware that nobody can guarantee your success. They can't guarantee that you'll necessarily make money because we don't know how skilled you are at trading. We don't know how much experience you have. Uh, Funny thing, a quick story. When I first started trading back in the late 80s, I started trading in crude oil after I saw the new S&P contract come out, and it was really popular, and I was trading crude oil. And I got in there and I had no system, no method. It was just pure gut feeling looking at numbers. I was using the original e-signal quote track that came out, that handheld device. I didn't have a computer or anything. I just look at the numbers and I'd write some things down in the morning, some projections and things. And I just was trading literally. Classic example. I see the pants. Well, the first week and a half, I called the broker and set up the account, put in 10 grand, and the first week I made 10 grand. I couldn't believe it. And the broker was all stoked, like, holy smokes. I'm like going, what's the big deal? I mean, I'm just trading, right? Well, sure enough, the next week was a little bit flatter, gave a little back maybe, not much, but a little bit. And then the third week, that's when that's when reality set in, and I started losing money and gave back all that 10 grand I made, and should have pulled it out, put it in the bank, and said, "Don't touch this." You know what I mean? And just worked off my original 10 grand. But anyway, I just kept going, and that was a long time ago. It was 25 years ago or so. And since then, it's been a long journey to find out. Basically, it comes down to this is a question you want to ask yourself every day: what works in the market? Now, here's the thing: a lot of systems or methods, I think, really got it all wrong because they're taking the market, this complex thing here that you see in front of you. This is a Boomerang day trader chart, by the way, and I'm going to go over how it works exactly and all the things. And for those who've been Boomerang traders for a while, I'm going to go over some elaborate new ways of looking at the markets with Boomerang and some things that will help you. It's the same rules and everything, but it's just a way to help you understand a couple of little tricks, if you will. I don't like to use that term, but that's what they kind of are, tricks to get the right setups. But if you look at the market here, in fact, let me give you more of a helicopter view right here, what I call a helicopter view. Now we're kind of over in the Globex period, but the main point is this: markets are not all that complex. And the reason I say I think a lot of systems or methods or traders get it wrong when they're trying to teach about the markets because they're trying to look at the markets, they consider them really complex, and they try to build a system around that. But the truth is, if you just try to do what the market wants to do or what the market does, it won't be that difficult. And here's what I mean by that. Look at this. The market thrusts in a directional move. It gets exhausted after going a certain level in exhaustion way, and it reverses. And then it thrusts in that direction, gets exhausted again, and then thrusts in the other direction. May pull back a little, thrust again, pull back, it may thrust again, or it may go flat, like right here. It may go flat for a while, and then what? After the market decides what to do, it makes another thrust. I call these momentum blasts. The whole basis of Boomerang is not based on me developing a trading system that's really cool, that really works, although we have thousands of users who love Boomerang and they use it every day. That's changed lives. I had an email recently from a gentleman who was running a construction company for 17 years. He started trading with Boomerang about a year ago, and he emailed me and he said, at this point, I'm ready to I can close my construction business, all that hard work dealing with all those people and people not showing up to work on time, having to pay insurance on different things, all the risk of that. He says, I'm making the same amount of money trading with Boomerang every day. Well, I congratulated him. I said, what you're really doing is you're just trading the way the market wants to work, because that's really what Boomerang is. Market goes flat and the market says, I want to thrust again to the downside. I want to make another momentum blast to the downside. Well, Boomerang goes in here and says, okay, here's a new trade channel. Here's the matching trend bands. Here's your pullback signal line, and there's your thrust. You see what I mean? So that's really what I designed Boomerang based on. Now, in the market, you have exhaustion reversals, which is a classic example one here, because look at this market blowing up to the moon. This was the other day, 7-9, last Friday, blowing up to the moon. That was a relief rally after the whole China fiasco. And by the way, I know what it's been like the last couple weeks, trust me. I mean, it's been intense, right? But so here goes the market. Then it comes into the opening here, makes a little pullback, makes another blast. But at that point, it was already exhausted, right? So what's it going to do? It's going to reverse and make a thrust in the other direction. Well, one of our classic setups here is when the market opens up and thrusts really hard right off the opening of the channel in one direction. Unless you got in on that pullback to the signal line right there in the nick of time, which you could have because the trend bands are matching. But if you missed it, you don't want to trade into the bottom of that we call a fat channel here. If you turn your head to the left, you'll see the fat channel here. We don't want to trade into that. I'm going to switch my cursor over to a pointer. We want to wait in the classic case here where you get a fast thrust with the opening of a trade new sell channel in this case. You want to get a discount. You don't want to trade at the signal line. You just want to trade at the Cobra. And that's the second level where you'll trade if you get a thrust in that direction. And don't worry, you didn't miss a trade. Just trade that pullback to the Cobra with all the trend bands matching. And you can see the Cobra was the perfect entry spot there. But so getting back to my theme, so Boomerang is based on one very specific and incredibly reliable method in terms of the way the market works. Not because Boomerang works the way it does because it's designed based on the way the market works. The market thrusts, it gets exhausted, and it reverses. It may go up in a thrust, it may go sideways a little or pull back, it may thrust again. The most I've seen, and I usually measure this when I'm trading with Elliott wave patterns, which are very simple to learn, and I can teach you that a little bit today if you want. But the main thing is, with Boomerang, is even if the market has 5 different thrusts, you can still catch those if you're experienced in using Boomerang. Now, we don't recommend taking 5 thrusts. We usually like to look for 2 at the most. In other words, a level 1, a level 2, and I just happened to come up to one here, so I'll show you what it looks like. A classic level 1 move is here. You all should know this if you've been trading with Boomerang. If you're new, then welcome aboard, and I'll show you exactly how it works. You probably have seen some of my other videos, tutorials, or webinars, and you've read our PDF that we show with the exact rules in written form. But here's the thing. We look for the market to be on the when a dynamic trend band, these are called the dynamic trend bands here. This is dynamic trend band number 2. This is dynamic trend band number 1, and this is the Cobra running here. This thinner line is called the trade signal line, which is very sensitive, and it's used to color the candles according to the bias of the market. And we trade on pullbacks to the signal line, which are marked by yellow dots here on the signal line and blue dots on the buy side, like this one here. Now we try to get the closest dot, the first or second one, from the new channel being opened, represented by the arrow on that candle. So you can see here, candle 1, 2, 3. There's the first signal line, candle 4. This one's okay. Boomerang will mark up to 6 candles after the trade channel opens, but we want to take the closest ones to the trade signal line as in relation to the new sell channel as possible. But so getting back to my theme, a second level move, this is a first level move here, clearly marked. A second level move on a trend type move is when we get a counter buy signal that we pretty much know is going to fail because of the steep dynamic trend band, in this case on the sell side. We want to see, though, that new channel open, jump up, and in most cases it's going to fail. If it doesn't fail, then they're going to reverse the other direction. And I'm going to show you exactly how we handle that after a big move. So what we want to do then is we want to see a new channel open in the opposite direction, fail, and then watch for a new sell channel, in this case, back in that same direction, catch that pullback to the signal line right here, and down they go for a 3-point move. So just out of this move here, and I'm going to have to get my cursor going again because I really am very familiar with using it, and it's very helpful. This started at approximately 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is a West Coast chart, so it's 3 hours behind. So from the period of 8 o'clock, you can see on the very bottom down there, see where that gray thing's moving, 8 o'clock, which is 11, down to 8:42. In other words, in 45 minutes, 2 boomerang trades are made without any heat on the trade. Maybe just a little bit of pullback against it, but not much. Here was instantly when it hit the dot, they fell right off the wagon. So you had 2 trades here, and just on what I call a blue-collar working trader's small account, like $5,000-$6,000, trading 4 NASDAQ contracts. If you're trading NAS here, it might be different for different contracts, but that's easily adjusted and figured out. But just I'm giving an example on NASDAQ. 4 contracts with a 3-point gain is a $240 cash in your pocket. So within 8:06 to 8:43, literally 38 minutes, a little over half an hour, you made 2 3-point trades, giving you a total of $480. Now that's darn good. Of course, there's some commission there, but it isn't much. You shouldn't pay much more on mini NAS, at least more than $3 a contract. If you trade with Boomerang, just tell the broker you're going to be making a lot of trades. Give me your best deal. Definitely no more than 4, but you get the idea. $16 a pop hardly takes any commission out of your deal. And you put $450 in your pocket, let's say. My God, in a half an hour, do you know that there are no jobs out there right now? Do you realize that there is a problem with jobs? If you can have the patience to sit at your desk every day, come to work at home, that's the first great advantage. Save all that money for gas and time away from the family and the nice pets and your backyard or whatever it is you like about your home. You're right there at home, and all you have to do is develop the patience to sit at your desk and wait for these exact setups. Now, that's not hard, but it's what I call the hardest, easiest thing you'll ever do. Hard because why? Because these prices are flipping around all over. You got all this news coming on, people talking about China crashing. Last week we had the New York Stock Exchange closed down for 3 or 4 hours, and that's a whole other story. I talk about that, and when I talk with traders, I talk about that publicly, but I'm not going to talk about it here in the webinar. It was a complete, there was no accident there, but let's just say that. Anyway, the point is, this Boomerang day trader is different because Boomerang follows what the market wants to do, and it's all about putting cash in your pocket. If you're tired of getting stopped out on trades, guessing on trades, or looking at some complicated course and trying to figure out what that pattern was that just passed you by that you didn't catch because you were too busy quickly thumbing through your notes trying to figure out what pattern that was, and you're tired of getting whipsawed in the market, I would like you to consider buying Boomerang today. It's only $1,195, very inexpensive. I haven't raised the price in 5 years. And just putting some cash in your pocket. And if you want to study other stuff, you'll be able to do that because you'll be able to learn patience trading with Boomerang, put some cash in your pocket, solve the family necessities, then you can move on and try to figure out more complex things if that's your bag, if that's what you feel you absolutely need to do. By the way, before 8 o'clock on those two trades, on this particular day, which was 7/8, that was a Thursday, Boomerang also made a buy trade right here and shot up for 3 points. You see, a lot of people say, not a lot, but a few, who don't understand trading that well. And most of them are one lot traders. No offense. Oh, you left so much on the table, Mohan. Look how much it ran up. Well, number one, that can be argued as being true, but my argument is if you're just trading one lot, you're going to tend to want to get as many points as you can. My suggestion is to get really, really, really expert with Boomerang, which has a very low risk, 90% guaranteed trade signals, and get really good at that. Become total expert at that, and then start putting on 2 contracts, 3, 6, 8, 10. Look, 10 contracts in a 3-point move is 30 points, right? You don't have to catch 66 up to 80 here, which is about 20 points. Just go ahead and put on a larger ticket in a safer environment. Get in and out of the trade and move on. That's my suggestion. Hey, a point is a point is a point. Just because you sat here with one lot or 2 lots and caught the big move, I mean, that's great to brag to your friends or whatever, but it doesn't do anything, and it's about making cash. So the first lesson of Boomerang is you don't need a very complex system. You just need to follow what the market wants to do and have a system that does that. In this case, like I said, the market consists of what I call momentum blasts, in it directional momentum blasts, counter reversal moves, which are also momentum blasts, and you have exhaustion reversals, which occur at tops and bottoms, which are very difficult to catch unless you have very specific tools. The other thing that happens in markets is choppy sideways markets. Well, the good news is that Boomerang only focuses on the momentum blasts and sets that up. However, with Boomerang, there are over a dozen ways to read the market, even if you don't trade the system that's built into it. First thing is that when you see a flat dynamic trend band number 2 after an extended move, in this case, see, I didn't even know what the chart said, but I could tell you, I already knew it was an extended move. That's usually when they go flat. When the market goes flat and you see a flat dynamic trend band, if you see whipsaw candles coming in, look at this, market's coming down and then whipsaw up, backward, whipsaw up, then here whipsaw down candle. You see what I'm saying? When that happens, Boomerang is telling you to stand aside. That's all. The message of Boomerang there is simply stand aside in the whipsaw and wait for what? For those of you who know Boomerang, you'll know the answer to this. If you're brand new to Boomerang, you'll be amazed at how simple this is. Wait for all the dynamic trend bands, if the market is whipsawing, to match. Find the new buy or sell channel, in this case buy in the matching dynamic trend bands, a new buy channel. Trade the pullback this signal line as per the normal rules, and up they go. You see how that works? You don't have to try to figure out whipsaw or go in here and guess at trades and get all cut up like so many of us did before we were trading with Boomerang. Hey, I did that for a long time until I, started really working on Boomerang and said, what works? What works? Kept pounding it in my brain. I'd fall asleep at night and wake up in the middle and I go, what works? What works in the market? And I'm telling you, there are flat periods and there are exhaustion reversal moves, and there are momentum blasts. And the safest and the most well-rounded occurring moves are the momentum blasts, whether on the upside or the downside. So Boomerang focuses only on the momentum blasts and captures those with extreme precision. Now, this was the 8th. This was Thursday when that Greece thing was everything was still going. It was just a really intense period last week. I know you were all there, and it was heavy, right? It was very heavy. Look at it, just slamming the markets around, but a lot of good movement. First of all, I'm going to go over those trades with you real quick on Boomerang. I just showed you those three winners in less than an hour, putting $800 in your pocket. Let me go over all of them right here. Here's the market opening. 10 minutes into the opening here, we get a crossover. All the trend bands are matching. A pullback signal line, and down they go. That's trade winner number one. Here's a counter reverse move, which I just reviewed with you recently, right? A couple minutes ago, or whatever it was, 10 minutes ago. Counter reverse. Wait to see the arrow. Wait for the green candles. Let it reverse, but you know they're going to fail because you got a steep dynamic trend band. So what does that tell you? You know it's going to fail like 80-90% of the time. This is going to fail. So all you do is you wait for the next sell arrow and the next yellow dot, the pullback signal line. So there's two winning trades within the first, looks like the first approximately 20 minutes of trading. Market goes flat. We just went over this one here. This is your third winner. What do? You wait for the trend bands to match, a channel, opening channel, buy channel in this case in that area. Third winning trade. Now what do? We're sitting on our hands going, wow, I just had 3 winning trades in less than an hour. That feels pretty good. Well, I want some more action. Okay, well, caution on that. Let me tell you, warning from a Rambo trader like me, sometimes you want that action, and boy, it can get you in trouble because you can accidentally overtrade. If you got 3 good trades in the first hour, you might want to consider stop trading, but if you want to keep going, just tell yourself, be a little extra cautious. Keep a notebook on your desk and write, extra caution here. We got $600-700 in our pocket. Let's be a little careful. Well, what do you do then? You watch here and you see that the sell channel opened way up here. The rule is, remember, we got to see these trend bands within 1.5 points of each other on the spread here. Let me go back to my cursor. It's very, very, very easy to measure. All you do is you throw your cursor up here, and you see that 64 quarter right here, and you see this here at 65.50. So that's within 1.5 points there. Now that wouldn't be necessary on this trade if it wasn't shooting to the lows so far, because both of the dynamic trend bands here are matching color. You don't need to wait for them to squish together unless the color is not matching. So this trade didn't happen. It just shot down to the lows too quickly. So you're sitting waiting, and this is the big key to Boomerang. You got to look at it like, if I wasn't doing this and waiting patiently for those rules, because sometimes it takes a while, you have to patiently wait. What else should you be doing? You'd have a job waiting in an office, waiting for the phone to ring, or making calls. Maybe your boss says, we need you to get into sales and make 100 phone calls a day, work the phones, or you're filling orders, doing reports, etc., etc. This is the same thing. All you're doing, though, is you're just sitting and watching for the market to set up the correct Boomerang trade. So lo and behold, again, the crossover is occurring here, but what happened before that? That's right, the dynamic trend bands were already matching color and the Cobra, so you're in business. All you got to do is buy that blue dot pullback signal line, which is alarmed, and instantly the dot prints. You know exactly where to get in, and you know where it's going to hit anyway, because as these prices are moving up here, you can simply look over on the right side here, and you'll see one of these. You'll see the signal line will be color coded. You'll see the green color-coded signal line, and when you see the price marker come down on the right side here and merge into the signal line marker, which occurred right here, for example. Let me get it over here. I don't know if it'll show up on the color exactly. Yeah, it's going to just show the gray lines, but I'm showing you here, when the prices are trading up here, you see this gray box. It'll be colored when you're live. 43, 65, 45, and see the arrow going right to the dot. Prior to the dot getting hit, you're looking like this, but you already know from the price marker where the signal line is. You can see the signal line. You know that when it hits the signal line, it's going to give you an instant alarmed signal and a print. So you just get your focus over on the right side, and when the price marker bar up here merges with the signal line, just go ahead and hit your buy at the market, and it's going to fire off, and that's how you get the best price. If you wait exactly to the fill of the signal line, it may leap off that price. It could drop a little too. It can do anything, but the idea is you want to just grab that price. Anyway, is instantly up there. So what would that be? That's I forget. I think that's 4 winning trades in a row because this one didn't happen. That's okay. You're just sitting waiting. You're at your office. Your dog walks in and you pet him on the head. Okay, leave me alone. I got to concentrate here. I'll play ball with you later. He's got that little ball in his mouth or whatever. I'll play with you later. Let me finish trading with Boomerang here. So now the market starts running up. And the first thing you want to do is put a note on your desk that says, so what? Who cares? No big deal. Those 3 things. You want to learn to say those a lot because you'll miss a trade like this and it'll be happening so fast and you see the yellow dots. You go, oh, I should have got in. You go, no, you shouldn't have. Wasn't the right trade setup. You got to have all the dynamic trend bands matching if the spread is this far away. So when it goes down anyway, you say, so what? I've already had 3 winning trades. Who cares? No big deal. So now the next one comes, you get that trade. You go, and wow. Well, here's where you apply those again. The market, you get long, you get, look at that. Right at the signal line, 65.75. No pressure on the entry. 65.75 runs up to 70. Boom, 3 points instantly. Actually ran 5. But then it just screamed higher up here. So what? Who cares? No big deal. You could have caught more if what happened? I'm asking you, it's like a quiz. What you didn't catch this, it just screamed higher. What would have happened to catch more points? That's right, a counter sell channel against this steep dynamic trend band that failed and produced a new buy channel. You'd get long into that and catch some more points. But you only got this one 3-point chunk. That's perfect. Well, let's see what happened again. All of a sudden, they got exhausted up there. And here's where you got to use that spread wisely. Because what we're doing is we're relying on the power of the dynamic trend band crossover. That's what it's called, the power of the dynamic trend band crossover. I'll go over that a little bit in a minute here. I want to finish up our webinar and get this recording knocked out so we'll have a nice crisp recording for you to watch, see this again. As the market it exhausts up here, now it's going into sell mode. We got a new sell channel. You're getting excited. You go, oh boy, I'm going to get another winning trade. Well, you got to go up here and put your cursor up here and say 43.80 quarter. That's why you got to use a cursor. See that on the right side, 43.80 quarter. And you want that to be within 150 of theirs. Put it up on the DTB number 182. 80 quarter, 82. That's 1.75 difference. You need to let it tighten up a little. So the next candle finishes up here. And what do you got now? You got 80 half, 82 quarter. You're in business now. You're within a point and a half. So what you want to do then is grab the next pullback to the signal line. It would have been one of these two. And kablam, instantly, virtually no pressure on the trade. A little bit of heat, nothing big. They just jumped back to the Cobra, hit the Cobra, resisted, and came slamming down on the downside. What's that? The 5th or 6th winning trade in a row. I lost count. I forget. I think it was the 5th, maybe the 6th. Nothing happened here. Again, you get in, you get your 3 points so fast, and your mind will go, oh, we left so much on the table. Just forget that. That's what the amateurs cry about. You don't care anymore because you're going to get so good, so expert at trading these boomerang trade signals. You're going to eventually, you got to dream big. You're going to eventually be able to put on 10 contracts and catch that fast move. You think it's exciting with 2 contracts or 4. It's really exciting with 10 because that meter just climbs to the moon. It climbs up to 700-800. Well, let's see. 3 points is $60 per point. 10 contracts. Yeah, it climbs up to $600 right before your eyes. That's pretty exciting. get good at trading the boomerang signals, cutting the risk, and getting your 3 points. You notice nothing's even come close to getting stopped out. We use a 5 point stop. I know that's wide, but that's the system. That's the method. That's what they rarely get knocked out. So don't start worrying about trying to figure out how to tighten the stop. That's not your. That's the old you. That's the old people. That's the other people out there always worrying about getting stopped out. You don't have to worry about it because boomerang hardly ever gets stopped out if you follow the correct rules. That's what's so great about it. Boomerang follows the exact way the market goes on the momentum blasts and rarely gets stopped out. Why is that? Well, it's because you got all the bias power stacked in your favor. You got the matching dynamic trend bands in a bearish mode. This one we went over earlier. This that reversal that failed. A new sell here at 60.75, and they shoot down to 54.5. But you're looking up here and you're seeing, wow, these are all our bias indicators. The one in the bottom, hyper scalp, is going to lead the market, and then the others are going to follow. You don't have to see these all matching. The dynamic trend bands have more or less made boomerang trading a lot simpler, but I've kept them in the program because they're nice to be able to read in the markets. You can see levels of exhaustion coming in here. See this blast down here, and then combined with this momentum blast here. This is what's called the market force index blasting down here, then another blast here. You can see as it backs off, as they press lower, see how they're backing off. They're kind of getting exhausted here. Anyway, that's like the 7th winning trade in a row. And I'm just trying to make a point here that if you just learn to sit at your desk and follow this, in many cases, like look, here it is, 12:30. You've only been working a few hours and you've got 7 winning trades in a row. At 4 points, that's 7 times $240 minus the commission, $16.80. It's a real nice trade. Well, what happens after this last thrust? Well, it's not astonishing. It's something you should expect. Here comes the whipsaw. Now, whipsaw and these things occur based on two things. Usually it's based on what the underlying market force is, and if the Federal Reserve riggers are coming into the market and they've got an agenda to boost the market up. I can tell you right now that's what this is. They started seeing that market start to get its butt kicked again, and they didn't help much during last week. They finally started pushing it up. These spike candle moves here are generally signs of rigor activity, because what buyer in his right mind would step in the middle of this whipsaw and start buying this market with causing these thrusts? You need hundreds of contracts to do that. So you can pretty much count it at being the riggers. Well, they're often successful, especially when they get the market going, because what they do is they know that so much of the market works on algorithms, especially the big firms have all these sophisticated algorithm programs. So they go in literally like algorithm predators, and they drive the algorithms up, and they force those algorithms to change to bullish signals, and then naturally the market will climb on its own. They don't have to work as hard. But in the case of last week, they were a little bit nervous, and what happened was they didn't exactly get their way, and prices got slammed again to the downside. Well, I just want to show you something here. You just had 7 winning trades in a row. You got a pocket full of cash. For God's sake, stop trading, especially when you see this. There's no boomerang trade here. There's no matching dynamic trend bands. This is a convoluted pattern here. What about this pattern? They're shooting up to the moon, pulling back. You could argue that this is a boomerang trade here, and it held in the stop and ramped up further. But then what about in here? Forget it. This is, when you see a counter arrow here, green candle, red candle, green candle, red candle, gray candle, just forget about it. Just stand aside. That's boomerang. This is not anything wrong with boomerang or the markets. This is boomerang telling you in no uncertain terms, stand aside. Whipsaw, confusion, things flipping back and forth. What is your job then? Your job is to simply wait for the next dynamic trend band and market setup. Here's the dynamic trend bands have already crossed right here. And right when the color changes on dynamic trend band number 1 and number 2, the market shot to the downside. So normally, what would your rule be? You're coming out of a heavy whipsaw period. Your normal rule number 1 would not to be to take the pullback sig line, but you'd want to get a better price because of this instant shot to the downside. So you trade the Cobra right here, 66.75 area, and they ran up to 71.5. So this one may have gotten stopped out because it was just a pure unadulterated bullish attack on this price here that sold off, and that was probably some riggers left over trying to press the market up. Odds are, let's see here, your first entry 65 quarter. Yeah, this one got knocked out. It's going to happen once in a while, and this was on a radical whipsaw, what looks like a rigged move here, but guess what? It's no big deal because you're going to get stopped out in trading sometimes, but look what happened. That was a counter buy move against a steep dynamic trend band, and as soon as the market shot up there and dropped real quick, thanks a lot, stopped me out by a couple ticks and then drop again. Hey, look at your sign on your desk. So what? Who cares? No big deal. You got to learn to say those three things to keep your sanity in this business. But guess what? As soon as that happened, Boomerang handed you another winning trade with a counter buy that failed, a new sell. You trade the pullback sig line with all the trend bands matching, and kablamo. A hard hit to the downside. You either held and got your 5 points back, or at least you got your 3 points back, not even disturbing your gains for the morning. And then look at that big, huge move to the downside. Now, one thing I want to show you. This is very important for you experienced boomerang traders especially. After a big, elaborate, elongated move like this, do not trade the first crossover or even the dynamic trend bands matching or anything like that. In other words, don't say, oh, this is a fast move up, I'll trade the Cobra. Don't do it. The reason is it was a heavy move. There's going to be some settling and whipsaw into that trade. The secret is so simple. Wait for the second buy channel to come in because you're going to get this one most likely. Sometimes it'll work out right away. Most of the time, I'm guessing 7 out of 10 times, you're just better off waiting for the second one because here they go crashing down, and now it's whipsawing again. Let it whipsaw. Let it try to whipsaw the lows, whipsaw the sellers, and then what? Here's a new buy signal here. A pullback signal line with everything matching, and up they go, easy as can be. Don't fight it, just wait for the second level move. I'll try to find you another one as we go on. We're now just finishing this day, and if you followed all the rules, so far it looks like you'd have 9 winning trades. Here's your 10th one right here. Market shoots to the downside, right? The spread right here tightens up within point and a half there. And what do you do here? What's the rule? That's right. Don't take the signal line because of this fast jolt here. Take the pullback to the Cobra right there. There's your 10th winning trade of the row. Now you're into the last half hour, and the market's whipsawing anyway. You don't want to trade the last half hour. What if the trade needs some time to pan out? Now you're stuck and you're going, oh God, 10 minutes to closing. I mean, don't do that to yourself. 10 winning trades in a row on 7-8, 10 times 240. If you sat there and took all those, that's $2,400 minus commission on a 4-contract type account. I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying you would all catch those. I'm not saying I would catch them all. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that was the potential. Boomerang offered them. The rules were crystal clear. There was nothing muddy or foggy or anything I changed on the charts. The dots that trade at the pullback signal line on these still charts will be there a year from now. They're printed exactly where they occurred in the exact moment that they occurred. So looking at a still chart still gives you that perspective. And the best part is it builds confidence. That's right. It's the most important thing, because where traders have a problem is if they don't have confidence in themselves. You need two things: 100% total confidence in yourself to follow the rules, to be able to do that, to have that discipline. And number two, to have a system that you totally 100% believe in. You can, and I did this for many years. I had all this confidence. I was doing my Anthony Robbins affirmations. I was going to courses. I was even walking on the hot coals with Anthony Robbins back then when I first started trading. None of that's going to help you trade. It's going to be great for building confidence. I was reading Donald Trump books, which are really incredible, and now the guy's running for president. Can you believe it? I mean, all that money, and he just keeps going and keeps winning and keeps wanting to improve him. I mean, you gotta admit, it's pretty powerful. Uh, it's just an example of a person. Anthony Robbins, same thing. But none of that stuff makes you a good trader. It can help you be in your trading, but you have to have a system that works. I have offered you now Boomerang Day Trader for peanuts. $11.95 is peanuts, and if you don't think that it is, you're in a business that requires a lot of money. So you shouldn't be having a Kmart attitude towards buying professional software. It's like a surgeon has to buy top-notch equipment. You don't operate on me if you're going to buy secondhand surgical equipment, you know what I mean, or try to get it on the cheap and negotiate with the guy. This is professional trading. You need professional equipment, and Boomerang is very, very inexpensive to start a $200,000 a year career. I just showed you making, after commish, probably $2,000 today. Think about it, if you did that almost every day for a whole year, and you can't afford $11.95, it paid for itself in one day or less. So I'm just giving you an idea. That's how Boomerang works. One of the rules is, when you get a spike in your favor, it's a gift. Make sure and take it. If it doesn't quite hand you the 3 points, but it runs down real fast, gives you 2.5, 2.75, just go up there and hit that close button, knock that thing out, because that's a gift from the market. I explained to you also about the second reversals after a big move. Don't take the first one. Maybe it'll take off, but who cares? So what? It doesn't matter. You're thinking safety here. You're thinking protecting your capital. That second one's going to give you a lot more clarity after a big move, and there's some whipsaw at the end of that move. Let it whipsaw. Just sit there, even if it takes a half an hour. Let it whipsaw around. Now the dynamic trend bands are matching. You can safely enter the trade. The Boomerang dynamic trend bands can be used. There's two things you can use as a guideline if you get confused. I don't know how you could, because Boomerang is really clear. I'll go over this same day. It's so clear what I showed you today. Don't you agree? It's nothing speculative or woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's all crystal clear rules, crystal clear method. But if for some reason all these prices flying around, that's what can confuse everybody. It confuses all the traders, even people like me who've been trading for 25 years. When those prices are flying around, it can get very mind-boggling. Here's how you can guide yourself. Watch for the dynamic trend band crossovers. When those cross, there is going to be a move in that direction, probably 80% or more of the time. Here's a crossover here, up they go. I'm not saying they're going to go straight up, but the bias on that side of the crossover is going to be in the direction of the crossover. Here's a crossover here that went lower, but it did fail, without a doubt. But then when they crossed back up, it doesn't matter, because Boomerang will get you back in that trade. I'm just showing you how to read the markets with Boomerang, aside from the methodology. Here's a crossover here. What happened? They shot straight up to the moon. Here's a crossover here, right at this point. See my cursor? What happened right at the crossover? They shot straight down. And did what? Pulled back to the dynamic trend band area and continued lower. Here's a crossover that didn't occur. It just ran flat on the dynamic trend band number 2 there. It's sort of minutely crossed over, but the colors never changed. It was still the same color. It wasn't really an official crossover, and look what happened. They just kept going because you already have the rule of the matching trend bands. It's so simple to follow Boomerang. Here's a crossover. What happened? Prices shot up to the moon. There was some whipsaw and pullback, but where did they end up after the crossover? See, the crossover held this whole time. That gives you perspective on the market. Just look up at the DTBs. Here's a crossover here. What happened? Boom. Shooting to the downside, rebounding, and then straight down. Here's another crossover. Just in one day, you can see how valuable monitoring that is. Crossover here, up they go. It keeps you on the right side of the bias. Check and see where the dynamic trend bands are. If they've just crossed over and they're fairly new, watch those pullbacks into the dynamic trend band zone. They're going to usually catch support. Another way is I'm giving you two ways to monitor yourself while you're tracking Boomerang. Obviously, you're following the rules, but another thing you're doing is you can track the dynamic trend band crossovers, and another way is to just thicken up the dynamic trend band number 2. You're going to love this. This is not a trading method per se, but it could be, practically speaking. This simplifies Boomerang to the point of absolute ridiculousness. Okay, coming in the open. I'm just using the same day here just to make it easy. Magenta colored or reddish colored, let's say, dynamic trend band number 2. We're only looking at this thick line now. Yellow dots, lower they go. Dynamic trend band number 2, bearish color, red. Blue dots, no trade. Yellow dots, winning trade. Dynamic trend band number 1, still bearish color. No trade on the blue dots, still bearish color, but look at those yellow dots. Yeah, they got whipsawed, but they ended up going higher. Bluish color, bullish color, blue. Dynamic trend band number 2, blue dots, up they go. Up they go again. See that? Bluish color here, yellow dots, no trade, no bias yet. Change to red, no yellow dots, nothing to do there. This is just a way to monitor yourself, to make sure when you're watching the market, it gets all crazy. Just use these simple tools to stay on track. Blue color, blue dot, up they go. Magenta, right here, yellow dot, down it goes. Practically speaking, if you got a color change in the dynamic trend number 2 and you get a dot color in correspondence with that, you can take it and it'll pan out in the trade. Yellow dot, dynamic trend band 2, down they go. Dynamic trend band here, blue. This one had some problems, but I'm just saying this is not a system. This is not our method. It's a way of monitoring the bias. There's a brand new crossover. You want to think bullish side there. Bullish here, yellow dots, there's no trade because the dynamic trend band is the bullish color. Here's a blue dot, shoots straight up. Here's another blue dot, shoots straight up. Yellow dots, no, not working. The blue dots pull back a little and shoot up again. More blue dots shooting straight up. You see that? Just based on one trend band and one color. Red, yellow dots, yellow dots. I'm saying they worked out. It got whipsawed here. Well, this was that weird trade that got whipsawed anyway. That was just some rigger idiot trying to push the market up, Anyway, yellow dots, you get the idea. I could go through 100 charts and just using this one approach to monitor the market, not as a trading system, although it would work probably about 80% of the time. You want to use our exact method so you get that real crisp, precise precision entry so you don't get stopped out on any trades. But I'm just showing you. I'm going back again, another session. Blue line, blue dots, up they go. Magenta, no dots. Blue lines here, well, the blue dots were there. Again, I'm just showing you example. Blue here, blue dot here, up they go. Magenta, reddish color, bearish color, down they go on the yellow dots. Mixed coloring here, so forget it. But when one of the rules of Boomerang is don't trade on a flat dynamic trend band. You'll just get whipsawed out. Just stand aside and wait for what? Wait for the price to go down and start a new trend on the downside. All matching trend bands. See that? So again, these are two simple ways I'm giving you that you can monitor Boomerang while you're trading. They're neither of them are a method of trading with Boomerang. They're just ways of reading the market. If you just did that and bought Boomerang only for that purpose, you're going to be heads above 90% of the traders out there. There's no system out there that tells you in advance when the market's going to make a strong extended move. Nothing like the dynamic trend bands that does that. Take advantage of that and you'll be quite happy. So that's what I wanted to go over with you today. How Boomerang is formed. We're working the most effective force in the market, which are what are called the momentum blasts on a technical basis, and Boomerang goes in and isolates those technical blasts, and in 90% of the time will get you into those trades with extreme precision entries that will not get stopped out and will not even, in most cases, as I showed you and proved to you, will not show any pressure on the trade. Trading always has pressure. It's a tough business. There's always nervousness when you're trading. But if you find a system like Boomerang and you can get your hands on it and let it read the market for you and put the trades on according to the simple rules, you can do incredibly well. So I really wanted to thank you today for joining me and watching our webinar. And now if you happen to